so we're going to. Now, I'm not necessarily the best person to do this, but we're going to demonstrate sewing dreadlocks. So we're going to slightly back comb the hair. If you back comb it with a quite small teeth comb, and then you can just smooth out any little bits on the outside. So if you back comb with your teeth but then smooth out with your hands, just the little bits on that are extra that we don't need, they'll be smoothed out. So we've got to, what we'll do is we'll divide this into two. We could also divide it into three. We've got a piece of artificial plastic hair. Now what we're going to do here, we're going to put this hair into it, probably slightly longer than the piece of hair we're adding, and then I'm going to clip it here. Now some people who are really good at plaiting might not have to use a clip, but basically we're just going to do a simple plait. It doesn't have to be that neat, this plait, because basically we're doing a dreadlock. And we down near the base of the head, we've got what is called a darning needle. So we're plaiting this in so it goes beyond the end of the plait. Right. That's it. Now the plait with the clip we've had at the top, we can take that out and hold the bottom of the plait. Plaiting's gone a bit wrong, but it doesn't really matter. It looks fairly neat. That's it. Just make sure it's well clipped. Now the idea is now we're going to sew through this pink hair. So it might be as well to put it into two there. It's a bit difficult to, gets a bit tangly. And then sew it through, get your artificial hair. There's quite a big hole in the end of this needle. It's not a normal needle, it's called the darning needle, so it's for thicker material. So if you squish your hair down, you should be able to get most of it through there. And then basically pull the rest through, pull the right end through. If you can't get all of it through, then you could snip the ends off. That's it. Pull it through. Try not to pull your customer's head too much. And then basically now we're going to just sew it at different angles. Keep twisting the hair. As I say, there are other people in the shop who could do this neater.
So you're sewing through the plait then?
Hmm?
You're sewing through the plait?
Yeah, sewing through the plait. And you can do it neater than this, or you can do it really messily, depending on what kind of dreadlock effect you want, sort of thing. Some people who are real experts at stitching might be looking at this video and said, oh, you could do a blanket stitch here and that. So there are different kinds of stitches you could do, like putting your needle through the plait, but also putting it through the remaining bit of hair, so it'll all sort of like knot in, because this kind of hair tends to get knotty anyway. That's it. I do it quite quickly and roughly, but it is. Do you think it's looking a bit like a dreadlock? You
Oh,
can disagree
oh,
with
it's
me.
great, yeah.
Yeah? No, this. Don't just say that because you're working for me and you're worried about being sacked, Charlotte.
No, I think that looked really good.
That's alright. I think you might be able to do it better. Once you start getting near the end of it, so now what might be a good idea now is, because we're getting near the end, is make a bit of a, start going back up now. You have to decide at some point not to. So these stitches I'm going up, not trying to do big stitches. I can turn it around so that we could get it all covered. I mean, if you want natural coloured hair, obviously choose brown. That's it. And then you probably try and do your final. These darning needles, they're not very sharp at the ends as well, so you won't hurt your finger too much. I mean, I wouldn't recommend you shove it in your finger, but anyway, I think we've nearly run out of that bit of pink hair now, but we've done the final bit into the middle of the plait. So what we might be able to do now, because this hair tends to be a bit rough, so if I snip it off now from the needle, there, that's it. See, that should be able to. Now, what we could do as a final thing now, it obviously could do it a bit neater than this, but that's pretty firm. So maybe just again. Now this is the bit that we left out at the other end. We can make we can make it longer actually as well. We could have extended this, making it longer. So, but we could sort of extend it a bit now, sort of thing. That's it. So we could go back to where the dreadlock ends and start sewing it up and down through there, sort of thing. Oh, got a bit stuck here, I think. Oh, it's because this. That's it. So, and also this hair as well tends to melt a little bit with hot air. So if we sew this through, you can always add a bit more. That's it. So we're just trying to go through it a bit more and make it, twist it a little bit so it's got a neat end. See, we can, if we put a hairdryer on this at the end, you can even, you've got to be very careful, but you can even steam it with hot water. But that's very dangerous, getting hot water near somebody's head. Even let your tea cool down if you're having a cup of tea. So making sure that final bit will come out there, sort of thing. So we're wrapping the natural hair up in this last bit. The more tangly the better, really. And if we twist it and hold it with a hairdryer, then we might find that this will stay in more permanently. So I'll try and, can always add a bit more hair. I'm not going to bother this time, but that's it. Cut that extra bit there, rather than wasting time trying to untangle it. So looks great.
Sandwich out and
Yeah. Well, the sandwich you'll have to wait. Right. So, as I say, this is a pretty rough, ready thing. So I might just sew this up and down up the middle of the dreadlock now. Pull it through. I'm got a little bit stuck. You just got to be careful you don't pull somebody's head too much when it's a real person. I'm pretending to be a dummy again. Right, now these bits at the ends, I'll probably be able to sort of melt those in a little bit, probably with a hot hairdryer. Might just sew that in a little bit there. You can do this a lot neater than this, but sometimes if you do them too neat they don't look like get a bit of exercise if you drop the needle, especially when you're 60 years old. Yeah, if you do them too neat, sometimes they look more artificial, which some people don't mind. So just get this final last bit hopefully pulled through. Good. I mean, you could always leave the needle in the dreadlock if you want. I wouldn't recommend it though. That's another thing to be careful of with dreadlocks. Try not to, a lot of people put things into the dreadlocks. Let's get that in there. So, it's a little bit rough that bit, so just trim it down a bit so that that'll disappear into the hair there really. So all we need to do now is probably get the hairdryer, and which we should have probably prepared earlier, and put it on the hot heat and twist it. Twist the hairdryer. Now you shouldn't hold the hairdryer too close to somebody's real hair like this, but because it's plastic and artificial hair, it will mean that it will just shrink it a little bit, but still leave it to hair texture. It should melt in the hair. It must be quite hot, this hairdryer. Yeah, it's shrinking it a bit. It must be quite easy to melt this hair. You must have picked the right hair, Charlotte. It's quite easy to, it's feeling quite plasticky that.
It could be the hairdryer, I've not used this one before.
Oh right, yeah.
Not on dreadlocks anyway.
So it might be, see what it's like just melting that last bit of. Put it on the hottest heat. Sometimes what you can do is put a little heating tool like a hair extension gun. What I might do here.
Straighteners might do it as well.
Yeah, but if you have it too hot though, what you'll find is that your straighteners will melt the plastic hair will actually melt onto the hair straightener, so you might be stuck with a bit of plastic hair, and then you've got to be careful how you scrape. You know, if you're going to scrape the plastic hair off the hairdryer, probably wait until it cools, and then so just a couple of loops on that. It'll be able to. Going to hold it up against her head. You wouldn't do this on a customer because you burn the customer's head. No. So, I mean, this is pretty, as you can tell, it's a bit rough what I've done. So if you can imagine that we've got more skillful people in the shop to do this. Sometimes as well, it's if you're cutting artificial hair, it's best to use an old pair of scissors rather than the best ones. Right.
How long would this roughly take to do a full head?
Well, for me, it might take a few days. But
What if you've got a team?
yeah, no, it's best to little bit there, look. Just snip that bit off there. But I think, I mean, seeing as that's just a rough and ready thing, I think that's pretty dreadlock-like, and I think given a bit more patience and skill, I think. And if you wanted to do it neater, you could obviously do it neater.
Oh, okay, imagine it as a full head of what you're going to get.
Yeah.
That might make it better.
Yeah, and then we probably need a neater section as well. Look, if you look there, look, we've taken a little bit behind the ear, which is
My fault.
yeah. But if you have got a little bit extra done, then I mean, obviously, if this is a real person, you just pull a few hairs out at a time, but you'd have to do this with great care if it's somebody's real hair, because it's going to hurt. It could hurt a bit if you're not. But if you've got a few hairs that don't want to be in there, rather than trying to pull them all out, just try and pull just one or two out at a time, remembering the sensitivity of the person's scalp. Right, I think that's about it. Thanks for watching, and I hope feel free to come and write in and criticise the technique and say, oh, we know a better way of doing it than that. But I'm relatively happy with that.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Right. Would you like to tell them about Facebook or Flickr or anything that we're on?
You
can have a look at what else we're doing.
Yeah. Well, we'll try and put a link on this video to Betty Tigers, all the different styles we do and everything.
Okay.
Thank you.
See ya. Bye.